Hey guys, this is Tyler as always. I wanted to film a video on the concept of bottom-up character design. Now, I didn't bother to look up if somebody's already used this term in RPGs, but in our context, that means starting with the mechanics of the character, then moving on to who the character is, the roleplay aspects, what they do. And that's in contrast from starting with a character, sometimes with a 10-page backstory, sometimes just with ideas like he's going to be a soldier, and then we'll decide that, oh, well, fighter class fits that best, or this archetype, or these skills. However your system builds those particular skills, we'll find out, right? And the biggest advantage of that to me is that by looking at character concepts, I would create characters that I would never have thought of on my own. When left to my own devices and just starting at create a character, guess what happens? I create the same characters all the time, right? Doing what I do, the guy's probably going to have a sword. He's probably going to know how to fight. He might have armor. He might not. He might fight with a different weapon. But ultimately, I stick to that bubble of what I know. Things like archetypes in Pathfinder 1st Edition create creative opportunities for you to look at something and go, wow, a fighter that not only does fight with a sword and shield, but uses a dead form of magic from two gods that no longer exist, the child of Akavna and Amaznan. That's not something that I could think of on my own in short order, right? I could obviously, oh, well, just, you have this core system that's for this, just flavor it however you want. The fighter can use, no, but there needs to be mechanics for it, right? If there's no mechanics for it, then what are we saying, right? You could have a Ford Mustang that's painted orange instead of painted white. Well, sure, I know that, I understand that, but the mechanics make it matter, right? To a certain extent, we are playing a role-playing game, and the game elements, the game mechanics, do matter. Hence the name of this series that I'm trying to keep up on. It is a dire shame in the video games industry that so much has moved on to skins, to, well, the game is free. You'll basically have, 30 guns or so, half of them all feel the same. And, well, what do you pay for? Oh, we monetize all the skins. I don't want just a reskin of this character I already play. I want something new. I want something that's different, that I can sink my teeth into in a different way, right? Because if it's not modeling the fact that fighting with a polearm is significantly different to fighting with a dagger, to fighting with your bare hands, my suspension of disbelief is broken. And when that happens, we are one step removed from the role-playing part of it, right? That's how the two are interlinked. So when we have the mechanics start, I go, oh, that would be an interesting idea for a character. I've never played a rogue that's just like a straight-up troubleshooter, that's just here to fix problems, get in and out of trouble really quickly, and if anything goes wrong, if somebody sees him after he tries to sap him over the back of the head, he doesn't stand and fight, he runs away, right? And there needs to be mechanics for that running away part. We can talk about that all day long, but if we just have a fixed, sort of movement system, like a lot of basic games have, well, we'll always, excuse me, we'll always run into the problem of moving at a fixed pace. Well, you could just roll dex for that. Okay, then my guy that has high dex, again, I'm just playing the same character over and over again. When you just have an athletic skill, for example, I can't look at athletics when I'm building a character and go, I'm going to build an athletic character. That's going to be totally different than my fighter who was also an athletic character. Wait a minute. Every athletic person in this universe is good at swimming, good at running, good at climbing, good at jumping. No, that's what the attribute is there for, right? The attribute, when you roll your stats, your attributes, or pick them, point by however you do them, the pyramid system in the new 40 mixtape, go check that out. I'll leave a link in the description below. Those give you your sort of level of base competencies, your physical ability. So I might roll, let's say we're playing 3.5 Pathfinder, as I am wont to do. You roll 16 in strength. Well, okay, I know this guy is pretty strong. Not everybody who's naturally strong chooses to leverage that strength in their profession, though. So it could be interesting to say, oh, okay, he's really strong. Maybe I'll lean towards one thing or another. Maybe I'll lean towards Slayer or Hunter. Maybe I'll just be a wizard that can carry a lot of shit. And then we can look at something like a Spellslinger Wizard. Yeah, what about a wizard that uses guns? Oh, okay. I could have thought of that on my own. What didn't I think about? No, they inscribe the spells on each bullet, so you get double duty there. And now I'm thinking, oh, but I need a lot of powder stores, so this guy's going to be carrying around a powder keg. He's going to be carrying around all the spell components. It's a lot of shit to carry around. Well, okay, there we go. There's a spot where a strength wizard would come in handy. Oh, just get a pack mule. Yeah, okay, sorry, but my pack mule is probably not leveling up at the same rate my fantasy adventurer is. And that pack mule is probably going to die in the first powder keg explosion, session 2. Once the GM realizes what we're doing with it. Now, we may die in that powder keg explosion because it's on our person. And you see, just from one thing, from one subclass, one archetype in a game that has hundreds of them, we're already imagining all these different scenes. And I'm one person at the table. So when everybody else's comes together, it becomes that much more interesting. Right? Those basic competencies, right? They need to become more specialized. Not everybody who has a baseline level of intelligence and is good at rote memorization becomes a math major or even a STEM major in general, or it even goes to college. There's some really smart guys that go into the sports field. So the stats don't define your character, but they do inform something about it. They can guide you in a really interesting way to concepts that at least I would not have come up with on my own. Maybe a lot of the guys that play rules light games just have a brighter creative spark than I do. But by and large, what I tend to notice is that rules light games, especially for myself, you keep going back to the same characters over and over again with an orange coat of paint instead of a white coat of paint or a blue coat of paint. So yeah, using the mechanics to inspire you to create something that's truly different, I think that's a valuable path to go down, even if you don't use the mechanics of that particular game. Just go and look at some. Go look at some Pathfinder archetypes and think about how you would do that in your own game, whatever system you're playing. And check out the 40 mixtape. It's my first official published RPG text, and I got more credit in that than in the professional published texts I've done before. So that's great. Some really cool stuff in there, and my section of it in particular is all about just inspiring you to come up with your own stuff at home with historical European martial arts techniques. So yeah. All right. Let me know what you guys think. Shorter video for today. Thanks for watching.